Paul Marsh, and I'm delighted to be joined on a Zoom call by Nicolas Harvard, director of The Locksmith. Thank you very much for joining me, sir. It's gratefully appreciated.
It's my pleasure.
So The Locksmith is your directorial debut. It has an all-star cast, some real absolute legends. Obviously, Ryan Phillip, Kate Bosworth, Ving Rhames, and Jeffrey Nordling, just to mention a few. How was it working with those absolute legends?
Well, the casting, working with them was incredible, a dream come true for a first film. And it's, the cast was more than I could have dreamed of. The casting process every day was a surprise. Like, oh, wow, that person wants to come work on this movie. That's incredible. Slowly but surely we kept filling the supporting roles with people that I never thought we could even touch. And so yeah, it was just an absolute dream.
And did each actor brought something different to the role? Like you say, they're all amazing actors, blessed to be in this film. What did each of them bring to the role?
Well, it's just like in any film, there's what you have on the page and then there's what you have on screen, and they're very often very, very different things. And that's what a brilliant cast brings you. It's a different take, something that you might never have imagined. And so what we found with each and every one of them was that they were finding a side to the character that we had not anticipated. Like the first time I saw the movie in a big screening room with hundreds of people was not too long ago. It was at the premiere.
Okay.
And I was surprised to hear people really laugh, like wholeheartedly laugh for a lot of the Frank stuff, a lot of the Ving Rhames things.
Yeah.
And I'd never imagined. I mean, I kind of chuckled a couple times, but I didn't think there were a lot of moments that I didn't think were particularly funny, probably because I'd seen them a million times by then, but they were never really designed to be, but he brought something to it, like just a little bit of irony that just, someone with his experience and gravitas can bring just by putting it through the machine of Ving Rhames, the actor. And yeah, it was just, at every turn we had surprises like that. Nordling was instrumental in setting the tone of the film, like as the kind of archetypal bad guy, but with nuance.
Yeah.
And something that I was hoping I would get from him, but had no idea what to expect. And so yeah, they each had their moments. I think everything I got with Ryan, Ryan and I had a lot more prep than I did with the supporting cast, and so there were a few less surprises because we had time to really talk it through and find the heart that we wanted to find in that character, with his family ties and all that. And then with Kate, it was, how do we take a character that on the page, the development process of the script was a lot of finding the Kate character and the Beth character played by Kate Bosworth, and taking it out of the cliche and trying to find that balance between kind of tough policewoman and working mother and former romantic partner of an ex-con trying to rehabilitate himself, like the nuance of all those diverging character elements. And of course she brought her decades of experience to it and made something special.
I really enjoyed the Beth arc, because obviously when she sits down and talks opposite Miller, you find out that she worked in a diner, she pulled double shifts, and eventually she's obviously worked her way onto the force, and she's continued to work her way up. So her arc as a character is really nice to see as well.
Yeah, it was tough, like that, finding that arc, because I think there's just generations of kind of cliched female roles that are almost ingrained in our film history that we go to as kind of the easy path, you know. And this was my first go at really at going full into a script and redeveloping it and finding the characters. I've worked as an assistant director for 20 years, and I'm typically not involved in that process. But I was astounded at seeing how much that arc could also come from other characters' scenes. Like there's the scene after the diner when Miller and Frank are talking back at the locksmith shop. And we had trouble with that scene in the writing. We had trouble with it in the cutting. We had trouble with it in the scoring. It was so specific because it spoke to their relationship and to the Miller and Beth relationship and what Miller was intending to do. And there was a time when it was like that scene had presupposed that Beth would want to get back together, and then it finally got to a point where we were like, well, why would we presuppose that? And it took our own introspection as filmmakers and our own kind of like built-in misogyny to just say like, wait, hang on. Frank can be the reason here, and say like, no, like she doesn't care. Like she probably does care, but there's no automatic reuniting with her here. Like if you want this to happen, you need to let her come to you, and all of those things. So yeah, it was just a fascinating kind of anthropological experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you say, whilst Miller has been inside for 10 years, life has stood still. Whereas for Beth, those 10 years, a lot has happened, a lot has changed, and she's moved on. I mean, the script is very good. I know that the script went through a lot of incarnations, and obviously Joe Russo and Chris Lamont were brought in to get involved with the script. And so it's obviously developed over time. So it's interesting to hear you talk about not only is it developed as a script, but even when you were on set, you were still figuring it out as you were going.
Yeah, very much so, because kind of the nature of the Hollywood development process is that you get a script to a certain point and put in a lot of energy and time and money in the writing process, but you kind of never give it 100% because films are so hard to get greenlit, right? So that, let's say, last 20% of the script development only happens after you get the green light.
Right.
And it's often during prep, and that's really what makes prep so tough on these indies, is getting all of it dialed as you're prepping and getting all the way to the moment that you're filming. I think most American films continue to rewrite as you shoot. Just it's part of the culture, and I think it's a good thing. I'm in favor of it. But this one in particular, because of the low budget nature and because of the kind of late arrivals of supporting cast, just made the writing process that much more last minute, to its benefit ultimately. But it was definitely tough on us. But the result is on the screen.
I agree. I'm sure you've been asked this a lot, and I'm sure Ryan's been asked this a lot, but did Ryan actually have to learn how to pick a lock?
He did, yeah.
He did.
Yeah. No, he did. There was this husband and wife team of locksmiths that worked in Las Cruces, New Mexico, and we had them come in as technical advisors, and they brought in their whole kit, and they brought in the locks that are that are see-through, so you can see all the pins and figure out how to hit the right pins and turn everything. And yeah, you spend a lot of time with those guys. I, in my dream of this, had wanted to spend that time with them also and learn how to pick locks, but I'm not able to. There was so much going on. It was just like, go, I'll see you later, let me know how it goes. But yeah, that was in a lot of those scenes he was picking real locks. In some of them we had to dummy the locks just for the ease of getting the shot on the back end for the bolts and all that. But yeah, he did a great job.
So he's definitely a handy person to have around if you leave your keys at home and you lock yourself out.
He is for sure now. Yes.
I don't think there's much that's happened in this film by accident. And I think the two main cars in the film say a lot about their owners as well. Obviously, Zwick's car is very arrogant, it's very fast, it's a little bit of a show off. Miller's truck is obviously it's beat up, it's an old thing, but it's had a lot of work done on it to be looked after.
Yeah, that's right. And the locksmith van. Like no, you're absolutely right. There's a lot of thought went into all the cars. I wouldn't say I'm a car guy, but I'm a bit of an enthusiast. I have a couple old American cars, and I have an old German motorcycle, and so it's a bit of a like little moonlighting passion of mine. So yeah, we wanted to see, we went with the Corvette for Zwick because of the obvious kind of side hustle, making money on the side more than a police lieutenant would, and because that the Corvette is the status symbol of, or at least it was, in American culture for a long time before the millionaires and billionaires started making so much money that they could, get the European cars over, and all the Ferraris and the Maseratis and everything that now represents the big money status symbol. But yeah, the Corvette for a long time, especially that era, the 60s into 70s, was the height of American luxury sports car.
The American muscle car.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, again, talking about not much being a coincidence, I love the fact that you had A Touch of Evil playing on the TV in the motel. And if I'm not mistaken, it was Marlowe on the TV with Frank and Madeline as well.
It was The Big Sleep.
The Big Sleep.
Yeah, a Marlowe story.
Yeah. So again, I assume that wasn't a coincidence.
It wasn't a coincidence. It was. I mean, it was a little. It was probably a little over the top, a little not too believable, which is kind of what we set out to do. We wanted to take this kind of simple crime story that could have been a kind of B made for TV movie, and give it something that would take it out of that genre. And I've been an absolute fanatic of film noir since I was a teenager. It's what made me fall in love with movies. It's what I ended up studying in college a lot. I went to college in Paris. I totally fell for the new wave, and especially the French film noir guys like Melville. And so when we, any crime story can basically be turned into a noir. It's a question of style, and it's a question of melodrama. And that was what we aimed for, is like kind of taking verisimilitude and augmenting it a little bit in everything we did, in the car selection, in the costumes, in the lighting, in the set decorating, and in that particular case, in the selection of what they might be watching on motel TVs. And as of course, as an homage to some of my favorite filmmakers and to the genre itself.
Yeah, it's really, really, really very good. So through all of the highs and lows and the twists of the film and everything else, without giving anything away, obviously, the end scene with Madeline playing the piano, with the Twinkle Twinkle Little Star and the tear rolling down the cheek and the frog in the throat, and then she goes on to perform her piece was just fantastic.
Well, thank you. That's actually a really great example of writing on the fly, because we originally had that sequence as a dance number, yeah, she was gonna have a dance recital, and that's what he was picking her up from dance practice and all of that. And at one point we just looked at the budget numbers and we're like, we didn't know that we could do it from a budgetary standpoint of just having that many extras and a choreographer, and it just was starting to kind of get out of hand. So we looked at it again, and we thought of maybe a smaller piano recital being just something we could approach budgetarily better. It was more achievable. And then something happened. We shot the locksmith the locksmith shop scenes first, and we only had Ving for a week, and he came around the middle of the schedule, and they improvised that whole Madeline and Ving improvised that whole scene of them at the chess set. So they're playing. I just gave them the chess set. I was like, "Here's a chess set. Play chess, and everything else is up to you guys." And they, I just let the cameras roll for a bit, and they started doing what they did, and they ended up improvising "Twinkle Twinkle Little Star," which thankfully was in the public domain. But we were so on the set, we were so touched. We were like, wow, that is the cutest thing. Like, absolutely, it just speaks to them having had a bond before, and have him or Frank having kind of been around in the shadows a little bit while Miller was away, watching over them, and just she's familiar with him. And we were also touched with it. It then made perfect sense. It all came together. It was like, okay, she plays at the recital as a nod to Frank. That would be kind of incredible, especially because we got to thinking at the end of the movie and thinking like, this is an incredibly traumatic thing for anybody, let alone an 11-year-old. How do we speak to that without just writing bad dialogue about it? And that was part of it. It was like, how do we resolve her just acknowledging that she probably has PTSD from it all, and that's what it turned into.
It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. Now, I do have to ask you, obviously, with everything that Miller goes through, is there ever something that you swore you would never do, and then somebody sucked you back in?
Probably. I mean, skydiving. I want to say skydiving. I've done it once. I'll never do it again. It was the most terrifying experience of my life.
I've done it as well, and I concur. It's and when they hit the ground, they were like, "Isn't that fantastic? Don't you want to do it again?" I said, "Not really."
Yeah, I had the added experience of the friend who sucked me into it was also jumping, and of course, when you jump tandem with an instructor, and he we jumped out of the same plane, and when we landed, I was like, okay, I'm never doing that again. And he had his instructor had to bail on the first chute and pull the emergency chute, and I was just like, all right, never again.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He showed me the red ripcord.
No.
It was awful.
How to never get somebody to do something ever again.
Yep, exactly.
You have, like you say, you have worked with some truly amazing directors alongside them. What did you learn from them that you took into making this movie? Obviously, working with Damien Chazelle and Taylor and people like that. What did you take from them and use it on this?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I'd been working with Taylor most recently on Yellowstone, and a lot of the stuff we talked about. I mean, the themes that we approached in Yellowstone and Wind River and Hell or High Water, with Taylor writing and David Mackenzie directing, kind of made me want to approach this noir as a bit of a neo-Western too, of just and it became very attractive to shoot in New Mexico, which is a place I really enjoy. That's where we shot Hell or High Water. And so
which is fantastic, by the way.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that movie has a very special place in my heart. I'm actually working with David right now on his next movie.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm coming off of Nights from in New York. But yeah, it was just, it was style and tone from those guys a lot. With David Mackenzie, it was kind of the philosophy around using a really small crew and being light on our feet, and like not having to he calls it the umbilical, the string of monitors and tents and everything that follows a production. On Hell or High Water, we didn't have any monitors. I mean, we have little handheld monitors, but there's no video village. We just shoot. And from Damien, I mean, I learned so many things from Damien. Just perseverance, just pushing everything as far as you can when you're shooting, because uh, it's it's the only time you have to capture the pieces. um I mean, on Whiplash we had 19 days to shoot. uh
Wow.
yeah. So going into it prepared. I mean, yeah, on Whiplash, I showed up on the first day of prep and he handed me a 300-page storyboard, and we just broke it down and figured out how to shoot it in 19 days. um yeah. And I mean, they're all such special people in their own right, and I've learned from all of them. I mean, Kathryn Bigelow, same. Just how to push a story to its limits, and expect excellence out of all your departments. It's hard to put into words, honestly. That's why I'm kind of failing right now. But it's just it ends up being a feeling and an instinct, and yeah, just kind of quick decision making and respect for the craft.
So I'm going to finish on a two-part question, which you've kind of already half answered one anyway. So what future projects are you working on? And now that you have been the solo director, the main man, is that something that you've got a bug for and you want to do more of?
Yeah, I've always kind of had a bug for it. I mean, from the shorts I made in college to directing second unit for a lot of these filmmakers. I directed second unit for Damien, for Taylor quite a bit. And it's a place where I approach the job with a lot of ease. I just feel at home there, in the director's chair. So I do want to get back to it. I have a lot of scripts that I'm developing that I'm excited about. We'll see when the right time comes. But in the meantime, it's hard to say no to David Mackenzie, saying, "Hey, do you want to go to New York and make a spy thriller with Riz Ahmed, Lily James, Sam Worthington?" Like,
Oh,
yeah, okay, let's go do that.
twist my arm. Oh,
Yeah,
twist my arm.
exactly. Yes. Yeah. So I mean, there's no downside. But yes, to answer your question, I definitely want to do it again. I felt very much at home in the director's chair. I have a lot of stories to tell, and I have a lot of friends I want to tell them with.
Nick, Frenchie, I thought The Locksmith was great. It's out on VOD now. I highly recommend that people go and see it, because I thought it was a great story, and I thought it was an even better made film. If that was terrible English, but people understand what I mean. I thought it was superbly made, and I really, really enjoyed it. So thank you very much for giving us that. And I hope that we can talk again very soon at some point in the future.
It would be my pleasure. Oh God, my pleasure. It would be my pleasure.
See, it's infecting, isn't it?
It is. I mean, I've got the sleep depth, on my side, as an excuse. What's your excuse, Paul?
It's a bank holiday and it's quite late over
There
there
you
in
go.
England.
There you go. I know you're trying to wrap it up, but it's funny. It's like I've been around so many Brits on this production, that all the little intricacies of British English versus American English are coming up, and it's so fun to navigate them. Bank holiday,
Yeah.
car park, parking garage. I will tell you, I'm drinking Yorkshire Gold right now with some
Oh,
whole milk.
sir, I raise my cup to you then.
All right. My British fiance introduced me to this, and I've never looked back.
Do you know what's amazing? And again, so this probably won't make the final cut now, because we'll
Sure.
go off on a tangent. But I came to America for about three and a half weeks in 2010, and I did LA, Atlanta, New York. And it wasn't until my last few days in New York that I realized Starbucks actually did English breakfast tea.
Oh yeah.
I had
Which
no
one
idea.
is it though?
Sorry.
Yeah, but which tea is it?
Oh,
Is it up stuff?
It's usually
That's my question.
Twinings. Twinings is the usual
Yeah,
one, but
yeah,
we don't mind that.
yeah.
And again, the funny thing is, I find when I come to America, you either do one of two things. As an Englishman, you either try and talk more American,
Yeah.
or you go the complete other direction and you turn into Hugh Grant.
Right, right. Yeah. Yeah, you go as posh as possible. Yeah. No, I'll tell you the funniest thing on this movie has been Lily and Riz, they stay in they keep their American accents as even between takes, just to keep it up, so throughout the day. So I very rarely hear them using their British accents, because they're always keeping the American accent up. But in between takes, they'll revert to British English with an American accent. And it is the most adorable thing ever, where it's like, Lily will come and be like, oh yeah, what's going on with this lift? Like, elevator. Or Riz did it the other day where he's like, hey, what's going on with that car park? I'm like, parking garage.
Which, you know
so
what, they've both been fantastic in their recent projects. Obviously, Lily in the Pamela Anderson, what was it called? Pam and Tommy. Yeah, that was great. And obviously Riz in The Sound of Metal,
That's
it called?
Right.
Yeah,
yep.
Fantastic. Absolutely, both of them superb.
They're both absolutely stunning actors. Like they're doing such a good job on this movie. And now with Sam, and it's just like we're so blessed.
Sounds brilliant. It sounds absolutely brilliant. Like I say, thank you so much for talking to me. I really do appreciate it. I thought The Locksmith was great, so thank you very much for that. And again, hopefully we'll talk again soon.
I would love that. Thanks, Paul.